It was a quiet day in the rural town of Sonobe, nestled within the lush Kyoto Prefecture, Japan. A young boy wandered through the countryside, captivated by the natural wonders around him. That boy was Shigeru Miyamoto, a name that would later echo across the gaming world. But back then, he was simply a curious child, exploring caves, forests, and rivers near his home. These adventures were more than mere childhood play. They were seeds of creativity that would eventually bloom into immersive digital worlds. Each step through a dense forest and every glimpse of a hidden cave shaped his perspective. Unknown to him, his wandering imagination would one day give birth to a hero clad in green and another clad in red and blue. From these innocent beginnings, the story of one of gaming's greatest minds took root. Fast forward to the late 70s, Shigeru Miyamoto found himself stepping into the doors of Nintendo, a company that was, at the time, far from its gaming empire. Tasked with working on an arcade project, he didn't have any grand ambitions. All he had was a pencil, an idea, and an unyielding drive to create something memorable. That project would become Donkey Kong, a game that turned the tide for Nintendo. Released in the early 80s, it introduced players to Jumpman, a carpenter trying to rescue his love from a barrel-throwing ape. You know him better now as Mario. The game was unlike anything before it. Miyamoto's genius was in his storytelling. Instead of just action, there was a narrative, a simple yet captivating reason to play. And it worked. Players were hooked. Shigeru Miyamoto was not content with just creating a hit arcade game. For him, gaming wasn't merely about competition or high scores. It was about bringing people into a world where they could lose themselves. This vision led to Super Mario Bros., a game that transformed the way we think about platformers. Through this cheerful plumber, Miyamoto created a world full of bright colors, imaginative enemies, and secrets tucked away in every corner. Each level was carefully crafted to spark curiosity, challenge the player, and above all, create fun. Soon after, another iconic world emerged from his mind, The Legend of Zelda. It was here that players discovered a sprawling fantasy realm filled with puzzles, dungeons, and the magic of exploration. Miyamoto had taken the spirit of his childhood adventures and digitized them into something truly timeless. Both these creations broke boundaries. They set new standards for gameplay, level design, and storytelling. His games were no longer mere distractions, they were experiences. Despite his monumental success, Shigeru Miyamoto remained a deeply humble and enigmatic figure. He rarely sought personal fame, preferring to focus on crafting games that spoke for themselves. Those who worked with him described him as a perfectionist, but also as someone who understood the heart of what made games truly enjoyable. He once explained that his goal was never to overwhelm players, but to welcome them. A good game, he said, is one where you enter the world smiling and leave it smiling. This philosophy set him apart. While others chased trends and hardware power, Miyamoto pursued simplicity, creativity, and fun. His work earned him recognition, awards, and praise from all corners of the world. Yet he remained grounded. The joy of seeing someone lost in one of his games was all the reward he needed. Decades later, Shigeru Miyamoto's influence continues to shape the gaming industry. Franchises like Mario and Zelda have been played by millions of people across multiple generations. These are not just games, they are cultural phenomena. They have inspired movies, merchandise, and even theme parks. But more importantly, they have inspired countless developers to dream big and think differently. Even now, Miyamoto's fingerprints can be seen in the way Nintendo approaches games. His emphasis on innovation, accessibility, and timeless appeal remains the company's core philosophy. The man who once sketched his ideas on paper continues to guide the future of gaming, ensuring his legacy is not just remembered but lived. Shigeru Miyamoto is more than a game developer. He is a storyteller, an artist, and a visionary. His work reminds us of the magic in exploration, the joy in discovery, and the endless possibilities of imagination. And as long as there are gamers, his creations will never fade into obscurity. As we sit down to play one of his games, we are not just holding a controller. We are stepping into a world that began decades ago, shaped by a boy wandering the countryside, dreaming of something greater. And that is the legacy of Shigeru Miyamoto, the man who turned imagination into reality.